Hmm. We are live now. A very good afternoon to all the participants who are joining today's session. I, CA Tanya Gupta, on behalf of OptoTax, welcome you all in today's session on practical issues in input tax credit. So, before starting further and giving this virtual stage to today's faculty, let's wait for other 5-7 minutes because it's still 3:55 and we'll start sharp at 4. So let's wait for our friends to join in because as we have people, we have participants, we have professionals across India. So we don't want anyone to leave this insightful session. And so let's wait. Till then, let's have some chit chat. It's been a while since we have interacted. This session was due since long, but because I wasn't well, मेरी थोड़ी तबीयत खराब थी, and that's why I couldn't connect with you earlier. So, how you all are doing? Good afternoon, Gaurav Nima ji. Please keep using this chat box. ये chat box आप लोगों के लिए है. The more you will use it, the more this session will become interactive. So, सत श्री अकाल, namaste, vadakkam. Please show some response. I know it's afternoon time, थोड़ा सा blousy हो जाते हैं. आफ्टर लंच थोड़ा लगता है स्लीपी स्लीपी, बट आपका ये बर्निंग डिजायर कि हमें ग्रो करना है, वी कीप ऑन ब्रिंगिंग सच इंटरैक्टिव सेशंस फॉर यू ऑल. As I can see, the chat box have started flooding with your responses. Good afternoon, Surya Narayan ji. And so I wish you all are taking good care of yourselves. Even we both me and Pitamji were discussing how situation was so much tensed nowadays, but since the wave has stopping, the time had becoming better day by day. So yes, good afternoon Ruchika ji, good afternoon Manmohan ji, good afternoon Pratik Karwal ji, good afternoon. Hope you all are doing great, great, great. And please take, as I said, please take good care of yourself. And I was just wondering that you all might be thinking that why we keep on bringing such sessions month after month, weeks after week, days after days. It's just very one pretty simple reason, because of you all. Because you always ask us to bring such sessions, you always want to grow despite these tough times, despite what we all are facing, with the situation we all are in. You never give up, and that's the reason, despite whatever circumstances we are in, we try to bring you such courses, be it on income tax, be it on GST, be it on what I can say. There are upcoming courses on Caro as well. So we keep on bringing such courses. OptoTax keep on bringing such courses because you only want to grow. You only want to serve best to your clients, and that is the main motive of OptoTax. OptoTax is nothing just a knowledge sharing and a technology platform which aims at bringing all of you together at one platform so that we can empower you by bringing the best faculties across India, be it today's faculty, as I said, Pitam ji, or be it Arpit sir, and many more good and renowned faculties across the India, because we only want you to grow. And in our profession, be it chartered accountancy or advocate, knowledge sharing is the only way of success. It is the only ladder which can make us achieve the heights of success. So good afternoon Veer Prabhuji, good afternoon Vineet ji. So before handing this stage to our today's session, today's faculty, let me give a brief introduction about him. So first of all, I welcome you on board, Pitam sir. It's an honor that since after long we are having this session with you. We were waiting for this session since long. So Pitam ji has over 10 years of professional experience in the fields of indirect tax and valuation, and he's the founder of Messrs VPTP and Company. He was earlier associated with leading power generation company Renew Power Private Limited and Lenco Infratech. He's a member of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, having all India merit position at all stages. He specializes in structuring business operations, GST advisory, GST department audit. He has been deeply involved with various industries ranging from real estate, BPO, and he has many research papers and articles in reputed national and international journals to his credits. So I welcome you, sir, in today's session. So I would request you to take this deliberation further.
Thanks a lot, Tanya. So you want me to start, or you want to give a brief of Optotex also upfront?
Yeah, sure. It like we have still time, so let me give a brief about OptoTax, and then you could start further. So I guess many of you had been our trusted and trusted participants, trusted users of OptoTax. I can see Chandramouli sir. A very good afternoon, sir. You have been there with us since the inception. It's been 3 years, and we are there because of your love and support. We always tried, as I said, we always try to bring so much knowledge sharing sessions because only one such reason, because you want to grow, and we always only want to empower, and that's why we have curated a compliance tool. Because as I said, today's session is on practical issues in ITC. Input tax credit is one such topic on which you can find a lot of content on all the social across all the social media platforms, be it YouTube, be it LinkedIn. But since its inception, it's been 3 years, more than, it's going to be at 4 years soon. It's almost 4 years soon. So then only ITC input tax credit had, if not more, had already gone 180-degree turn. So much complication, so much intricacies. So why not, we thought of why not to create a product for you, a tool, a compliance tool for you, which could make your compliance life bit more easier and simplify. So as I said, so it's been because of your love and support. It is an India's number one GST platform, which has been trusted by 50,000 happy tax professionals for filing returns of 1 million plus clients. And how does OptoTax professionals helps in making GST compliance simple? You must be asking. There are a lot of queries which I receive from across the people that, ma'am, tell us how OptoTax is different from the other software, other compliance tools available. So it's like it will show you the live dashboard status showing the GST returns of all your clients, like who filed GST, whose return still pending, किसकी return बची है, किसकी return नहीं बची. So ये एक dashboard है जहाँ पर आप सारे returns का status देख सकते हैं. Second, option to download acknowledgement for full year. You can download the acknowledgement for the full year in just one click. You don't have to visit to the GST portal again and again to download the returns. In one simple click, for the entire year you can download. So how, देखो ऐसा है ना कि like supposedly some clients come to you कि sir, ma'am, I want to apply for a loan, and the authorities and the bank authorities is asking for the GST returns for the whole year. So instead of asking your article to devote his time in doing something which could be done in one simple click in just 2 minutes, then this will only help in increasing your productivity, your efficiency. So why not to go for such product, right? Now the third is automatic purchase reconciliation with GSTR 2A for full year. See, GSTR 2A and 2B, it's like when you have, अगर आपको पता लगाना है कि गलती कहाँ हुई है, so आप क्या करोगे, आप अपने आर्टिकल को, अपने स्टाफ को बोलोगे कि एक परचेज रिकंसिलिएशन बनाओ GSTR 2A में, एंड देन लेट अस नो कि भाई कहाँ गलती हुई है. सो अगर आपके पास एक हैंडी डॉक्यूमेंट पूरे साल का होगा आपके सामने, इट विल बी वेरी वेरी सिंपलर टू जस्ट check ki कहाँ गलती है, and you can just work on it rather than scrolling through pages and everything. And nothing and apart from that, multiple users, like if you have a client, if you have 200 clients and only 4 of your staff, so what you can do is you can bifurcate 50 clients each, and increase your efficiency and productivity. And not about this, like as I said, will never leave your hand. So all the notifications, updates related to tax professionals will be provided on this platform. All is just go on www.gst.optotex.com, open in Google Chrome or in desktop or laptop, and start using it today. So if you will come across with the questions that मैम अगर अभी से स्टार्ट करेंगे तो क्या पिछले साल के जो 3 साल 4 साल है उसका डेटा हमें मिलेगा? यस सर, अभी से अगर आप स्टार्ट करेंगे तो 1 जुलाई 2017 से जो अब तक का सारा डेटा है वो सब मिलेगा. तो जैसे आज का टॉपिक है उससे रिलेटेड जितनी भी रिकॉन्सिलेशन रिपोर्ट है, जीएसटीआर 1 वर्सेस 3B, समरी रिपोर्ट्स, बिकॉज ये सारी चीजें, ये सारी रिपोर्ट्स बहुत यूजफुल होंगी आपके लिटिगेशन में हेल्प करने के लिए. जब डिपार्टमेंट से नोटिसेस, भगवान न करे डिपार्टमेंट से नोटिसेस आते हैं तो उसके लिए हमें पूरी चेकलिस्ट प्रिपेयर करनी पड़ती है टू शो देम कि हमें ये हमने करा है, दिस is what we have done. So reconciliation report, summary reports, ITC and cash ledger report all can be curated, downloaded in just one click from OptoTax. So start using it today. If you have any queries, you can always mail to us at info@optotex.com, or you can always call us. Just please write down this mail ID and phone number for further contact, and you can always reach out to us. We have live chat option as well. So start using it today. And I guess I must thank to OptoTax. Thank you, Anup Slim sir, for such a feedback. I must thank you to OptoTax for providing free knowledge sharing sessions. We always will keep providing knowledge sharing sessions because we only want to empower you. So, Pitamji, now you can take forward.
Thank you, Tanya. So, good afternoon to all the participants. Just allow me a minute. So, we would like to thank Optotex for organizing this webinar. So, in this webinar, we will discuss about the practical issues, and the topics which we will discuss has been subdivided into various segments, which we will have a index view. Hope you all are staying safe and staying at home. This definitely has been a very testing time when we talk about all best. What we can do is that we can spread positivity among each other members, relatives, colleagues, whatever the case may be. So अगर हम पॉजिटिविटी फैलाएंगे, अगर हम पॉजिटिविटी स्प्रेड करेंगे, दिस विल एम्पावर एंड दिस विल help us in overcoming this difficult situation when we talk about. Now coming back to the today's topic. So today's topic we have divided into 5 different segments. The first segment is the eligibility of ITC, कि हमारी क्या क्या कंडीशंस हैं ITC अवेल करने की, what all legal sections provide in, और क्या क्या हमें क्लॉजेस को कंप्लाई करना है for the purpose of availing the credit. Second thing, what we will discuss is GSTR 2A and 2B, which is the legal document. 2A legal document है या 2B legal document है for the purpose of claiming refund or for the purpose of availing the input tax credit in my 3B returns. हमें 2A से लेना है या 2B से लेना है. We will understand these. Then we will discuss the case studies pertaining to 2A and 2B. के डिफरेंट केस स्टडीज के किस में 2A में आता है क्रेडिट, किस में 2B में आता है, या फिर इट माइट आल्सो बी पॉसिबल कि देयर इज नो इम्पैक्ट इन 2A एज वेल एज 2B. आफ्टर दैट वी विल जस्ट थ्रो अ लाइट विद लीगल डिस्कशंस व्हाट टू डू इन केस ऑफ डिपार्टमेंटल नोटिसेस कमिंग फॉर 2A एंड 3B डिफरेंसेस. फ्रेंड्स, 17-18 का डिपार्टमेंट ऑडिट हो चुका है एंड चल रहा है, 18-19 का भी डिपार्टमेंट ऑडिट चल रहा है. What we have seen from our clientele, what we have seen from our experience is that there are a lot of notices being issued by department with regard to 2A and 3B mismatch, and this is creating a cash flows issues when we talk about during the time of assessments. So as a professional or as a tax professional, what advice we should give to our client, or what grounds we can take for the purpose of not reversing these credit is something which we will discuss upon. Coming back to the fourth segment, the fourth segment would be the Finance Act 2021. So there has been recent amendments in Finance Act 2021, which has not been notified till date. It has only been proposed. Once it is notified, then only it will be applicable. But what does the recent amendments talk about is something which we should understand, and how this recent amendments is impacting my credit altogether. That is something which we will have a bird eye view over. The fifth point what we will discuss is the practical case studies. So we will have a touch base upon 7 to 8 practical case studies relating to ITC, which are relevant to almost all the industry, to taxpayers. So this is the segment what we have divided for today's webinar, for which will run through an approximate of 1.5 hours. Now coming back to the first topic, input tax credit eligibility under GST. What do we mean by ITC when we talk about? You all must be knowing what is ITC. So just in a simple terms, ITC means at the time of paying output, I reduce the tax which has already been paid through my purchases. वो टैक्स जो मैंने अपनी प्रोक्योरमेंट के लिए पे कर दिया है, that is something which I am reducing from my output liability, is termed as the input tax credit. अगर हम ITC की बात करें, what are the various conditions to avail these ITCs? The conditions to avail the ITC has been prescribed under section 16, 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, 16.4 and the proviso thereupon. अगर हम उसका snapshot लेते हैं, तो there are total 7 conditions. There are total 7 conditions जिसको we need to fulfill for the purpose of availing ITC. What is the first condition? The first condition is the credit to a taxpayer shall be allowed only for those goods or services which has been used and intended to be used for business. Important point in the first condition is used or intended to be used. So I am just listing down the 7 conditions, and thereafter we will have detailed discussions over each of the conditions. What are the repercussions thereupon? Second point, the credit of ITC shall be allowed if and only if we have an invoice or debit note or any other document which are prescribed by GST law and are in my possession. What are the other documents? Other documents are prescribed by Rule 36. मतलब मेरे पास invoice या डेबिट नोट या कोई और डॉक्यूमेंट जो लॉ ने प्रिस्क्राइब कर रखा है, वो मेरी पोजेशन में होना चाहिए फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ अवेलिंग दिस आईटीसी. थर्ड थिंग, आईटीसी मैं तभी अवेल कर सकता हूं जब मुझे गुड्स या सर्विसेज रिसीव हो गई हो. आई एम इन रिसीव्ट ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज, समथिंग द थर्ड कंडीशन टॉक्स अबाउट. देन देयर इज condition is that the supplier must have paid taxes to the government. This is again a draconian provision which again Supreme Court of India has ruled out recently. So the condition here is prescribed that tax has actually been paid to the government by the supplier either through ITC or through cash ledger. The next condition is return under section 39 has been filed by the recipient. मतलब जो मेरा supplier है, he must have filed his return under section 39, that is 3B, form GSTR 3B. जो GSTR 1 है, that is a recent amendment. जो earlier conditions थी उसके अंदर section 39 की return included थी. The next proviso condition is the payment to supplier of goods or services is to be made within a period of 180 days. Within period of 180 days, I need to make the payment to my supplier for the goods or services which I have actually received. The last condition is that the credit shall not be available to a taxpayer, means जो भी taxpayer है उसको credit नहीं मिलेगा in case I am availing the credit after September or annual return whichever is earlier. Means इस साल का invoice अगर 2021 का invoice है, सितंबर 2021 के बाद मुझे उसको ITC नहीं मिलेगा, उससे पहले ही मुझे उसका ITC अवेल करना है. अब अगर हम फर्स्ट कंडीशंस को देखते हैं, credit for only those goods and services will be allowed which are used or intended to be used for business. There are 2 important points here. Used or intended to be used. What is the difference between used and intended to be used? Second thing is business. What do we actually mean by business? If we see the definition of business under GST law, what does it include? It includes a situation where a taxpayer or a tax assessee is doing an activity whether or not for a pecuniary benefit or not. Means अगर मुझे कोई benefit हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा, it hardly matters. The transaction will be deemed as business. If I am incurring profit, if I am incurring loss, then also the transaction will be included in the definition of the business, and I am eligible for claiming ITC over that transaction. Business is very important because अगर हम supply की definition देखते हैं, section 7 की definition देखते हैं, that also talks about business. ITC also talks about business. So when I talk about business, it is a primary definition or a or important character to understand or important name to understand, because it will impact my output liability also and ITC also. Second thing, the business includes an activity or transaction whether or not there is a volume, frequency or continuity. Means चाहे मैंने single transaction करी है, I am doing a single transaction and I was registered, it again will be deemed to be business. चाहे मैं रेगुलर ट्रांजैक्शंस करूं, कंटिन्यूइंग ट्रांजैक्शंस करूं या नहीं करूं, इट हार्डली मैटर्स. इवन इफ द फ्रीक्वेंसी इज टू लो, then also the same transaction will be deemed to be business, and I am eligible to claim ITC over the same when we talk about. Now if we see the second thing is these goods or services which I am using for business should be used or intended to be used for business. What is the difference between used and intended to be used? So just to have a discussion over these words used and intended to be used, I am just throwing the light over the definition which is there under section 37 of the Income Tax Act. What does it state? It states that any expense which is used in the course or furtherance of the business, in that case, it will be deemed to be an expenses made for the business, and that expense shall be allowable under section 37 of the Income Tax Act. What does it mean? अगर मैंने कोई एक्सपेंडिचर बिजनेस के लिए करा है, बिजनेस के अगेंस्ट रेवेन्यू के लिए करा है, या फिर बिजनेस बढ़ाने के लिए करा है, इन द फर्दरेंस ऑफ द बिजनेस को एक्सपेंशन के लिए करा है, in that case also I am eligible for deduction as an expense for those amount paid for the business expense. This has been categorically clarified, or the order in relation to the same judgment has been passed in Coca-Cola India Limited versus CCE Pune, which is a published order. When we talk about this, in the facts of the case was such that the Coca-Cola India was incurring advertisement expenditures with regards to Coca-Cola or their brand, the cold drink, whereas Coca-Cola India was not selling cold drinks. They were selling only concentrates to their beveraging company. So the department argued that the Coca-Cola India is dealing into concentrates, whereas they are incurring advertisement expenditures with regard to the cold drink, which is not an end product of Coca-Cola India. But so they denied the ITAT, the income tax authorities denied these expenditure because of the simple fact that they treated that there is no reciprocating income. Income is coming from concentrates and not from the Coca-Cola or the cold drinks. In this case, the court categorically stated that when I am advertising my cold drink bottles, that in self will create demand for bottles, and reciprocatingly or additionally, this will help Coca-Cola India to sell concentrates to their beveraging or the bottling units to manufacture the bottles, Coca-Cola bottles. So ultimately, it is Coca-Cola India Limited only. Once the cold drink sells, Coca-Cola India in turn will be benefited through selling of the concentrates. So it was held that advertisement of Coca-Cola bottles with the selling of concentrates was eligible, as it was deemed that the selling of these the advertisement of these bottles was used in the course and the furtherance of business. Same way, I am taking two more examples. Feasibility study of a new plant. I am having one manufacturing plant, suppose in the state of Baddi, Himachal Pradesh, in the area of Baddi. As a promoter, I wish to have another manufacturing unit, so say in the state of Sikkim, Northeast India. So what I do is that I engage an outside consultant and I ask him to have a feasibility study of the same, of the Sikkim area. So I engage him and he charges me suppose 10 lakh rupees and he is charging GST over the same 10 lakhs plus GST, he is billing it to me. So when he is billing 10 lakhs plus GST to me for the purpose of feasibility analysis, there can be two options available. Once this feasibility analysis or the study comes to me, there can be two options available to me as a taxpayer, that I built up that plant or I don't build up that plant. अगर मैं वो plant build करता हूँ, manufacturing plant build करता हूँ, then it can be treated that it is used in the business. Whereas अगर मैं वो plant build नहीं करता, in case I am not building that plant, then what is the case? Whether it may be deemed that the services which I have taken was intended to be used for the business. Definitely yes. Taking into the reference of this Coca-Cola judgment, we can definitely say that the feasibility study of the new plant was definitely intended to be used for the business, and hence the questionability of the ITC over the feasibility report, that is 18% over 10 lakh rupees, that is 1,80,000, is not in question at all. So as a taxpayer, I will be able to get the ITC pertaining to this feasibility study. Taking into account the second case study, suppose the second case study, CSR activities. In COVID times, I am distributing oxygen concentrator, suppose, or I have arranged a vaccination drive for the public in general, suppose. So अगर मैं CSR expenditure incur करता हूँ, whether that can be said that I am doing this expenditure in the course of business or not, or intended to be used in business or not? Definitely yes. The CSR expenditure are the expenditure that are mandatory in nature, that is not voluntary in nature. So once it is mandatory in nature and has been prescribed by statute, that is the Companies Act itself, then without incurring this expenditure, I am not able to run my business, and hence we can definitely say that these are the expenditures which I have intended to, which I have made only for the purpose of running my business. So we can very well say that these expenditures were made only for the purpose of this business itself. Whether I am eligible for claiming the ITC over these expenditure, that is something which we have to vouch with regard to section 17.5 also, which we have covered through a case study when we talk about. So this is all when we talk about with regard to further used or intended to be used for the business. The second condition is when we talk about credit of ITC shall be allowed only if invoice or debit note or any other documents are in my possession. So when we talk about any other documents, as per Rule 36.1, Rule 36.1 prescribes 5 documents. The first document is invoice. Second document is self-invoice, which I raise for the purpose of making my RCM payments. Third document is debit note, जो मेरे supplier मुझे issue करता है for charging me an amount which he has not charged in the original invoice, the extra amount. Fourth document is bill of entry, which I file while importing goods out from India into India. Fifth document is ISD invoice. So लॉ ने मुझे 5 डॉक्यूमेंट्स प्रिस्क्राइब करे हैं जिसके बेसिस पे मैं ITC ले सकता हूं एज पर रूल 36. अगर हम बात करें इनवॉइस रूल्स की, इनवॉइस रूल्स में देयर आर न्यूमरस नंबर ऑफ फील्ड्स व्हिच नीड टू बी कैप्चर्ड फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ जनरेटिंग एन इनवॉइस. अगर मैं वो सारी फील्ड्स नहीं डालता, देन इट इज अ केस वेयर आई हैव नॉट रेज्ड एन इनवॉइस प्रॉपर्ली. But when we talk about availing an input, Rule 36 has clearly prescribed कि आपके पास इनवॉइस के अंदर ये 5 पैरामीटर्स, these 5 fields should be properly mapped out. In case the taxpayer has not mapped out these 5 fields or any of these 5 fields, then ITC at the end of recipient shall be questioned. Means अगर सप्लायर ने इन 5 फील्ड में से कोई भी फील्ड छोड़ दी, then my ITC would be questioned. So simply we need to see as a taxpayer कि सप्लायर ने ये पांचों फील्ड्स, व्हाट आर दीज 5 फील्ड्स? द फर्स्ट फील्ड इज अमाउंट चार्ज, द सेकंड फील्ड इज डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ गुड्स और सर्विसेज, third field is total value of supply of these goods or services, fourth field is GSTN of supplier and recipient, fifth field is place of supply. So as a supplier, I need to mandatorily put in these all 5 fields so that the ITC at the end of recipient is not questioned. And as a receiver, I need to definitely check that all these mandatory fields which are there as per Rule 36, I have taken a cognizance over the same. Now, when we talk about Rule 36, Rule 36 3 categorically states that अगर कोई ITC मैंने ट्रांसफर करा है ड्यू टू बिकॉज ऑफ एनी ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ एनी फ्रॉड, willful misstatement or suppression of fact, then ITC at my end, that is the receiver end, will definitely be challenged. Then another condition with regard to 36 is with regard to 36 core compliance, that is the provisional credit with regard to the amount which my supplier has shown in GSTR1 reciprocating auto populated in my GSTR2A or 2B, whatever the case may be, which we will discuss on a later stage. That amount plus provisional amount of 20%, provisional amount of 10%, provisional amount of 5% from time to time. This again, we have a detailed case studies and detailed legal discussion which we will cover on a later stage. Now coming to an important aspect, suppose as a taxpayer I was registered under e-invoicing scheme. So the question of fact is that as a taxpayer I am registered under e-invoicing scheme and I have issued one invoice dated 31st March 2021 and I have raised invoice as per section 31 and I was required to generate an invoice reference number, that is IRN number over the same, because my turnover was more than the prescribed limit. But I have not raised or I have not generated an IRN number. I have generated the IRN number of the said invoice, suppose today, say 20th of May 2021, and the invoice was dated 31st March 2021. The supplier would have paid the taxes over the said invoice in 3B of March itself, March 2021. Coming back to the recipient, friends. As a recipient, when should I take an ITC over the same? That is in the month of March 3B or in the month of May 3B. The question of fact or the question of law. When we talk about Rule 48, Rule 48 clearly specifies that this IRN number is a mandatory field for an invoice to be valid. In case this IRN number is not captured in my invoice, then it is not a valid invoice. So how can a receiver take an ITC with regard to the invoice over which the IRN number was not mentioned? So this again is a question which need to be tested at the court level, and the redressal over the same will be given by only High Court or the Supreme Court, whatever the case may be. But as far as practice is concerned, this is again an important point which I just wanted to make you, I wanted to highlight to you. Now coming back to the invoice conditions on the documents on the basis of which I can take ITC. Whether I can take ITC on the photocopied invoice or the computer generated invoice? Definitely no. Photocopied invoice or a computer generated invoice is not a valid document. We as a taxpayer should have original invoice in our hands. That is signed invoice or a digitally signed invoice. Without these invoice, I as a taxpayer or as a tax for the purpose of claiming the ITC as a tax recipient, I am not eligible for claiming the credit, and department can definitely deny my credit in case I don't have the original invoice or the digitally signed invoice when we talk about. Coming back, whether I can avail ITC of airline tickets on the basis of their tickets. एयरलाइन ने मुझे टिकट इशू करी, बोर्डिंग पास इशू करे, क्या मैं उसके बेसिस पे आईटीसी ले सकते हैं? अगर हम रूल 36(1) देखें, रूल 36(2) देखें, डेफिनेटली नो। 36(1) के अंदर एक अदर डॉक्यूमेंट प्रिस्क्राइब था, तो क्या 36(1) के अंदर अदर डॉक्यूमेंट के अंदर ये जो बोर्डिंग पास है या ये पेमेंट टिकट्स थी, क्या ये वैलिड ट्रीट होंगी या नहीं होंगी? बट सेक्शन रूल 36(2) ने कैटेगोरिकली स्टेट करा था कि क्या क्या चीजें मेंशन होनी चाहिए। बिकॉज ऑफ flaw in some industries because of the bulky transactions in some industries. GST Council has relaxed certain industries, that is the banking industries, passenger transportation industries, wherein the banking industries can issue a monthly invoice as a tax recipient in case we have a bank statements over which the amount has been debited along with GST. As a tax recipient, I can claim the ITC even in case I don't have the invoice pertaining to that transaction, because GST Council themselves have relaxed these industries for the purpose of issuing the invoices. Same is the case with passenger transportation services. In lieu of invoice, they can issue any of the documents which contains the information as which have been prescribed by Rule 36. So अगर कोई और information या कोई और invoice नहीं है, कोई और document है जो travel industry या transportation service industries issue कर देती हैं, on the basis of that document I can claim the ITC, and there is no debar or there is no bar for as a taxpayer for availing that credit when we talk about. Now coming back to the third condition, friends. Third condition is, just a second. Third condition is that ITC is available only on receipt of goods or services, friends. So just to throw a light over this, I am taking two examples. The first example, suppose 31st March 2021, I have imported goods from Brazil and I have imported it at IGI, Indira Gandhi International Airport. So 31st March is the date when my goods got cleared and I made the custom duty payment to the custom authorities. So once I make this payment, I have a bill of entry in my name stating what is the GST amount, what was the custom duty amount, what was the surcharge. So on the basis of this bill of entry, definitely I can take the ITC as this is a other document which has been prescribed under Rule 36. But what about the receipt of goods? Suppose 31st March ki night, at night it starts from IGI and reach my factory on 1st of April. So whether I am eligible for ITC over these goods, in our understanding, in our view, definitely not. Because as a taxpayer, even though I have paid for the goods, I am not eligible because I have not received these goods at my godown. I have not received the delivery of the goods, or these goods are not in my possession when we talk about. Definitely not. But if I reverse the case, suppose I was into bill to ship to case, and from airport itself, I have issued an invoice on 31st March itself, issued an e-way bill, and I have transported these goods to a buyer. Suppose I have issued the invoices directly, not a bill to ship to case, to be very precise upon. I have directly sold these goods. Once these goods have reached IGI airport, I have sold these goods suppose to another buyer, and I have issued invoice and issued e-way bill. So once I issue these, the movement of these goods started from IGI to directly to the client premises. So whether I can say that this is a classic case of a constructed delivery of goods, that actually the goods was in my possession and I transferred these goods, or I delivered these goods directly from one location directly to my clientele. Definitely in this case it can be argued, or it's very good case when we talk about that is a classic case of a constructive delivery, that I've received the goods and I'm transporting it back to my clientele. So in this case, definitely I as a taxpayer can get ITC over the same on 31st March itself. Coming back to another condition which states that the supplier has paid taxes to the government, friends. So when we talk about supplier has paid taxes to the government, this is definitely a draconian provisions. How this tax has been paid? Tax has to be paid through challan, cash challan, or ITC, subject to provisions of section 41 and 43A. This is again something which we need to understand through various case laws and case studies. So we have definitely captured two of the case studies and legal background pertaining to the same, which we will discuss a little later. Now the return under section 37 is filed. What is the return under section 39, sorry. 39 prescribes GSTR 3B. Earlier which stated that GSTR 3 is a return which was, and Gujarat High Court categorically stated that GSTR 3 is not to be deemed as a return again which was overruled by a notification or the amendment by proposed, which was retrospective in nature from 1st July itself, that 3B will be treated as a return under section 39, thereby overruling the judgment rendered or given by Gujarat High Court. So as of today, we can definitely say that 3B is a return. So return under section, a return of under 3B, GSTR 3B has been filed by my supplier is the Bible condition, the primary condition for us to claim the credit. Whether the return contains my invoice amount or not, again, is the question of factual position or the reconciliation issues. Now coming back to another condition. The other condition states payment to supplier of goods or services is made within a period of 180 days. Now when we talk about this condition, friends, let me take you to the respective slides. When we talk about payment within a period of 180 days, suppose as a person, as a taxpayer, I have received the goods and I need to make a payment within a period of 180 days. Suppose the invoice is dated 20th of May and I enter these invoices in my books on 21st of May. The condition of 180 days is applicable from the date of invoice, first of all, not from the date of payment. Another two things, the important things with regard to these conditions. These conditions states two important parameters. First is fails to pay. What do we actually means by failure to pay? Something which we will discuss through a case study. But अगर मैं 180 दिन के अंदर पेमेंट नहीं करता तो क्या होगा? तो मेरी आउटपुट टैक्स लाइबिलिटी के अंदर जो मैंने अमाउंट ऑलरेडी क्लेम करा था, दैट इज द अमाउंट विच आई नीड टू रिवर्स, एंड आई नीड टू रिवर्स अलोंग विद इंटरेस्ट इज समथिंग which I need to put in my 3B returns. Once I make the payment again to my supplier, then as a taxpayer, I am eligible for reclaiming that credit. As soon as I make the payment to my supplier, and I can reclaim that credit back to my account. And for the purpose of reclaiming this credit, friends, there is no time limit prescribed under GST law. So we can reclaim the credit once we have reversed at any time afterwards, once we make the payment to our supplier. The last point when we talk about is with regard to the date, the time limit up till which I can avail the ITC. So as a taxpayer, I can avail the ITC till September of the next financial year or annual return, whichever is earlier. So when we talk about GSTR 2A, 2B, 3B reconciliations, so क्या उस केस में अगर सितंबर तक मेरे सप्लायर ने R1 फाइल नहीं करी तो whether I can claim the ITC and I can validly avail that ITC is again a question which need to be addressed or which need to be supported by some High Court and the Supreme Court rulings, and this question again definitely will reach that heights for the purpose of rendering their opinions or the judgments. Now coming back to the second topic, friends. The second topic is GSTR 2A और 2B किसके बेसिस पे एज अ टैक्स पेयर मैं क्रेडिट लूं, इसको समझने के लिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी विल अंडरस्टैंड द लीगल प्रोविजंस पर्टेनिंग टू द सेम. अगर मैं लीगल प्रोविजंस को देखता हूं, सो देयर इज रूल 36(4) जिसने सारा हैवॉक क्रिएट करा है टू ऑल द इंडस्ट्रीज. अगर मैं रूल 36(4) की इंप्लीकेशंस की बात करूं, Rule 36(4) got the compliance under Rule 36(4) have introduced from October 2019. At the time of introduction, there was another limit which has substantially reduced to 10%, and currently it is 5%. So what does this Rule 36(4) states? Just reading out Rule 36(4) for the better understanding. Input tax credit to be availed by a registered person in respect of invoice or debit note, the details of which has not been furnished by supplier under subsection 1 of section 37 in form GSTR 1 or using invoice furnishing facility shall not exceed 5% of the eligible credit available in respect of invoice or debit notes, the details of which have been uploaded by my supplier. Thereby meaning by जो इनवॉइस या डेबिट नोट मेरे सप्लायर ने जीएसटीआर 1 के थ्रू फर्निश कर दिए हैं विद इन प्रिस्क्राइब लिमिट, और इनवॉइस फर्निशिंग फैसिलिटी. व्हाट इज इनवॉइस फर्निशिंग फैसिलिटी? इज जो क्यूआरएमपी स्कीम्स होल्डर्स को दी गई है फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ इशूइंग फर्निशिंग B2B इनवॉइस, मींस देयर बाय मीनिंग जीएसटीआर 1 के थ्रू जो इनवॉइस मेरे पोर्टल पे आ गए हैं, या फिर आईएफएफ के थ्रू जो इनवॉइस मेरे पोर्टल पे आ गए हैं, आई कैन अवेल द क्रेडिट pertaining to those amount. These amounts is known as eligible credit. In addition to these eligible credits, I am eligible for 5% provisional credit by rule 36(4). So in nutshell, अगर 100 rupees मेरे मेरे जीएसटी के पर्टेनिंग जीएसटीआर 1 या आईएएफ फाइल करी है मेरे सप्लायर्स ने, देन आई एम एलिजिबल फॉर 100 रुपीज प्लस 5 रुपीज ऑफ प्रोविजनल क्रेडिट, टोटल 105 रुपीज. द क्वेश्चन वाज कि ये रिकंसिलिएशन जो मेरे सप्लायर ने जीएसटीआर 1 फाइल करा है, उसके बेसिस पे क्या मुझे जीएसटीआर 2A लेना है या 2B लेना है? व्हाट इज माय बेसिस ऑफ रिकंसिलिएशन इज द मेन क्वेश्चन फ्रेंड्स. अगर एज ए टैक्स पेयर मैं बात करूं, जैसे ही मैं जीएसटीआर 1 के अंदर डिटेल्स ऑटो पॉपुलेट करता हूं या पॉपुलेट करता हूं, इट गेट्स ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड इनटू माय जीएसटीआर 2A एज वेल एज जीएसटीआर 2B फ्रेंड्स. तो जीएसटीआर 1 जैसे ही मैं फाइल करता हूं, जीएसटीआर 2 में भी डिटेल्स आएंगी, जीएसटीआर 2B में भी डिटेल्स आएंगी. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दीज टू? लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड थ्रू अ केस स्टडी. इफ वी सी difference between GSTR 2A and 2B, we are taking scenario A. In scenario A, suppose the invoice was dated 1st January 2021. 1 जनवरी का इनवॉइस था, and as a taxpayer, I have reported that invoice in January 2021 itself. मतलब मैंने जनवरी में रिपोर्ट कर दिया, बट मैंने GSTR 1 भी टाइम लिमिट्स के अंदर फाइल कर दी. टाइम फॉर फर्निशिंग GSTR 1 is 11th of the subsequent month. तो जैसे ही मैंने 11 तक अपनी जीएसटीआर 1 फाइल करी, मींस 11 फरवरी को मैंने जीएसटीआर 1 फाइल कर दी, सो उसका ऑटो पॉपुलेशन या रेसिप्रोकेटिंग एक्शन क्या होगा? जैसे ही मैंने जीएसटीआर 1 में फाइल करी, वो जीएसटीआर 2A में कब आएगा? जनवरी में आएगा, क्योंकि मैंने जनवरी के मंथ में रिपोर्ट करी है. मैंने जीएसटीआर 1 कब फाइल करी है? जनवरी की, विद इन टाइम लिमिट, तो 2A में भी वो मेरे जनवरी में आएगा. सो वी सी इनवॉइस अपलोडेड इन जीएसटीआर 1 for the month of January is being auto populated in my GSTR 2A as well as GSTR 2B for the month of January itself. Suppose I take another example. Same invoice, 1st January. I report this invoice in the month of March and I furnish in the returns for the month of March within the time limit. So क्या होगा? वो मेरे 2A of March में आएगा और 2B भी मार्च में आएगा, क्योंकि मैंने जो इनवॉइस रिपोर्ट करा है वो मार्च की R1 में करा है. सो सब्सिक्वेंटली इट विल बी ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड इन माय मार्च 2A. थर्ड केस, अगेन दिस इज अ मैच्ड केस प्रिंसिपल. थर्ड केस अगर मैं बात करूं, 1st जनवरी 2021 का इनवॉइस था, मैंने अभी तक अपनी R1 फाइल नहीं करी. टिल नाउ आई हैव नॉट फाइल्ड माय R1. सो व्हाट आई विल डू, मैं जनवरी की R1 आज की डेट मींस करंटली फाइल करूंगा. सपोज आई फाइल दैट ऑन 11th ऑफ अप्रैल. जैसे मैं 11th ऑफ अप्रैल को जनवरी के R1 फाइल करूंगा, तब क्या होगा फ्रेंड्स? एज अ टैक्स रिसिपिएंट वो 2A में तो मेरी जनवरी में आएगा, बिकॉज जनवरी R1 विल गेट ऑटो पॉपुलेटेड इन माय जनवरी 2A डेटा इटसेल्फ. बट अगर मैं 2B की बात करूं फ्रेंड्स, वो 2B मार्च के अंदर आएगा, देयर बाय क्रिएटिंग द डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन जीएसटीआर 2A एंड 2B. फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड दीज थिंग्स, वी शुड हैव अ क्लियर थॉट दैट द invoice furnished in R1 till 11th of the subsequent month will be reflected in my previous month 2B. अगर उसके बाद वो फाइल करता है, then it will be reflected in subsequent month of 2B. मतलब next month 2B के में वो शो करेगा. Same thing is a case with invoice furnishing facility. अगर कोई QRMP स्कीम होल्डर है, उसने इनवॉइस 14th of subsequent month तक फाइल कर दिया है, in that case it will be shown in my respective month. बट अगर 14th के बाद फाइल करा है, देन इट विल बी शोन इन द सब्सिक्वेंट मंथ्स फ्रेंड्स. सो अब हमने केस स्टडीज देखी है. सो जस्ट टू हैव अ ओवरव्यू, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन जीएसटीआर 2A एज वेल एज जीएसटीआर 2B. 2A गिव्स अस अर्ली क्रेडिट. 2A का क्रेडिट हमें पहले अवेल करते हैं. थर्ड सिनेरियो में 2A के अंदर इनपुट मेरे जनवरी में आया है, वेयर 2B में इनपुट को मेरा मार्च में आया है. सो अगर मैं 2A को बेसिस लेता हूं, सो आई एम एलिजिबल फॉर क्रेडिट ऑन अर्ली बेसिस. वेयर एज 2B का बेसिस लेता हूं तो उसका क्रेडिट मुझे डिलेड मिलता है. अगर मैं 2A के बेसिस पे क्रेडिट लेता हूं, सो डिपार्टमेंट विल डेफिनेटली डिस्प्यूट बिकॉज आई एम अवेलिंग अर्ली क्रेडिट. Whereas अगर मैं 2B के बेसिस पे लेता हूं तो डिपार्टमेंट विल नॉट डिस्प्यूट. एंड डिपार्टमेंट प्रैक्टिकली फ्रेंड्स, अगर हम बात करें आज के सिनेरियोस की और एक्सपीरियंस की, सो डिपार्टमेंट आर नॉट डिनाइंग द क्रेडिट विच इज कमिंग इन 2B. दे आर नॉट आस्किंग फॉर एनी रिकंसिलेशन. जो भी क्रेडिट मेरा 2B में आ रहा है, that they are accepting. But definitely as a taxpayer, I myself, we are preparing reconciliations. That is a separate issue. But department are not objecting to the credit which we have taken on the basis of 2B. But अगर मैं 2A की बात करूं, if I am taking credit on the basis of 2A, department will definitely challenge because there is a cash outflow or I am availing that input on an early stage which department is disputing, for which as a taxpayer I need to prepare the reconciliation statements, more reconciliation statements overlapping between various years, various months, various transactions is something which we need to map out. And the difference of these mapping we will analyze a little later when we talk about. अगर मैं 2A या 2B की बात करता हूं फ्रेंड्स, सो दोनों में क्रेडिट लॉस नहीं है. इट इज ओनली अ क्वेश्चन कि मुझे क्रेडिट कब मिलना है, या पहले मिलना है या बाद में मिलना है. 2A के बेसिस पे मुझे क्रेडिट पहले मिलेगा, 2B के बेसिस पे मुझे क्रेडिट बाद में मिलना है. दैट इज द ओनली डिफरेंस व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट GSTR 2A and 2B. नाउ कमिंग बैक टू द मेन क्वेश्चन फ्रेंड्स, एज अ टैक्स पेयर what is the valid document or valid Bible document for the purpose of me to claim ITC? That is whether I should claim ITC through GSTR 2A or GSTR 2B. Friends, अगर हम इसका आंसर दें तो there are two separate parameters. There can be a commercial answer and there can be a legal answer. अगर मैं commercial answer की बात करूं, if I talk commercially over this, then as a taxpayer what I want is that I will not want disputes from department. And what I will do as a taxpayer, in case I am sitting on high cash flows, what I will do is that I will take input as appearing in my 2B to avoid departmental disputes and I will have a peaceful life. But अगर मैं 2A की बात करूं, अगर मैं legal answer की बात करूं, if I talk legally with regard to this, we need to understand this 2A reconciliations came in the month of October 2018. 36(4) got implemented in the month of October 2019. अगर हम डिपार्टमेंट सर्कुलर की बात करें, what department circular states in 2019, it itself talk about GSTR 2A as the document on the basis of which as a tax recipient I can claim the ITC. डिपार्टमेंट ये खुद बोलता है 2019 के अंदर कि 2A के बेसिस पे द असेसी कैन क्लेम ITC. इफ आई रीड 36(4) friends, 36(4) does not talk about anything pertaining to GSTR 2A or 2B. It specifies only to an extent that supplier has filed GSTR 1 friends. अगर supplier ने GSTR 1 फाइल कर दिया, then it will be auto populated and it will be shown in GSTR 2A as well as GSTR 2B. So अगर हम legally बात करें friends, there is no debar under law or rules wherein as a tax recipient I cannot claim ITC from my GSTR 2A. So just to conclude this, in case my taxpayer is on brink of cash, there is a cash flow shortage or there is crisis of cash, as a tax consultant we can definitely take a plea that I can avail ITC from GSTR 2 itself, 2A itself. I can claim it from GSTR 2A, but definitely there will be lots of challenges and lots of questions and lots of music disputes which we shall face from department when we talk about. But legally friends, when we talk about, law does not differentiate from any of the parameters, from 2A or 2B, does not talk about any of the parameters. Now when we talk about the writ petitions, what about the rule 36(4) applicability? There has been a writ petition filed and Rajasthan High Court have admitted the writ petition, and this is pending. The petition stated that Rule 36(4) is ultra vires, and definitely this writ petition has been admitted, and the fate has just to be decided. So अगर हम in nutshell बात करें, there has been question raised over Rule 36(4) because there was no legal validity with regard to Section 16 also. जैसे हमने we have earlier seen Section 16, the condition was the assessee, the supplier has filed the return under Section 39, which talks about GSTR 3B itself. It does not talk about GSTR 1. So rules cannot supersede the act when we talk about. So there has been questions of the validity of Rule 36(4), and it has been challenged in various courts, the fate of which is yet to come. So once this is there, then we can definitely have an overview what has to be done for the previous past action when we talk. But as of today, when we talk about, there has been a writ petition, and this has been admitted by the Rajasthan High Court. Now coming back, what we discussed earlier, the case studies with regard to 2A and 3B reconciliations. 2A and 3B. I am talking about 2A and 3B, not 2A and 2B. 2A and 2B is something which we have already discussed. 2A and 2B are the portals, the amount which is auto-populated at my GSTN portal. Now we are discussing the case studies pertaining to GSTR 2A, what is coming in my 2A versus what is there in my books. अगर मैं अपनी GSTR 2A versus books की reconciliations करता हूँ, so there are various cases, friends. The first, the ideal case which as a taxpayer I would want is that कि मेरी books के अंदर भी आ रहा है, suppose X amount in which all the fields are captured, and GSTR 1 में भी similar आ रहा है, means supplier has uploaded the same with all the respective fields, and as a taxpayer, it is a classic case, a happy case that the transaction is being matched and I am eligible for full credit without any dispute. Coming to the next case, wherein I have put in invoices reflecting in my purchase register. Invoice is there in my purchase register, but it is not being auto-populated, or GSTR 2, it does not shows the same. There is a discrepancy. Invoice is there at my purchase register, but not in my GSTR 2A. Once the invoice is not in my GSTR 2A, as we have seen Rule 36(4), as a taxpayer, I will not be eligible for claiming the credit of this invoice in per se. So what can be the reasons for the same? Let us analyze those reasons. One of the reasons could be that my supplier has not shown this transaction or has not reported this transaction at all. He has missed to report this transaction. Another case can be my supplier, instead of showing this transaction under B2B, has shown this transaction under B2C column. Once this transaction has been shown under B2C column, B2 customer, business to customer column, then as a tax recipient, I will not be eligible to, it will not be auto-populated in my GSTR 2A. The third case could be my supplier has incorrectly reported my GSTN. Suppose I am being registered in 10 different states, in Delhi, in Haryana, in UP, in Punjab. So I procured goods in the state of Delhi, whereas the supplier, instead of putting Delhi GSTN, inadvertently has reported my Haryana GSTN. So because of this misreporting of wrong GSTN, this invoice has been auto-populated in Haryana 2A, whereas this was supposed to be auto-populated in the state of Delhi. So what I need to do, my supplier has incorrectly reported my GSTN. Another case could be my supplier has reported that invoice in the name of another person or transferor or any other person, whatever the case may be. So these may be the reasons for the invoice which has not been furnished in my 2A or not auto-populated in my 2A. So these cases we should analyze, and we should quickly bounce back to our suppliers, stating that because of your misreporting, as a taxpayer, I am not eligible for claiming the credit. Coming back to the various more case studies when we talk about, there can be a case where entry is not in purchase register but in 2A, vice versa of the case number 2. 2A के अंदर आ रही है but मेरी books के अंदर नहीं है. So as a taxpayer it can be an opportunity for missing credit. हो सकता है वो एक्चुअली में क्रेडिट था बट मैंने अभी तक बुक्स में रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं करा, हेंस अगर वो एक्चुअल इनवॉइस था आई कैन क्लेम द क्रेडिट वंस आई रिकॉर्ड दैट इन माय बुक्स. So this is an opportunity when we talk about. Second case can be incorrect GSTN. The supplier has put in incorrect GSTN, as we told earlier, mismatch date invoice, place to supply mismatch, invoice amount, tax amount mismatch, incorrect invoice number. O की जगह जीरो डाल दिया, जीरो की जगह O डाल दिया. इनवॉइस डेबिट नोट नेट ऑफ करके रिपोर्ट कर दिया. आई हैव रिसीव्ड इनवॉइस सेपरेटली, क्रेडिट और डेबिट नोट सेपरेटली, whereas supplier has included them both and reported together figures. There could be an impact of the amended invoice. So as a taxpayer, what best I can do is that I need to take hard copies and I need to check the incorrect details, whether in my system I have recorded it incorrectly or there it has been reported by my supplier incorrectly. So once we have that in picture, as a taxpayer we should definitely look for my vendor management, friends. And this is the need of the hour when we talk about the reconciliations of 2A and 3B. My purchase register matching with my 2B and 2A is something which is a Herculean task which every taxpayers need to do. There have been a lot of pains, but as a taxpayer we need to comply with these conditions, friend. As far as our experience is concerned, supplier does not revert within by simply through one mailer or one call. They does not reply. We need to rigorously follow up with our vendors. We need to issue them the statements what all are not appearing in my 2A and what all are incorrectly reported in my 2A is something we should map to our suppliers on a regular basis. We should revise our PO terms stating that because of the fault of my supplier, in case I am denied of any input tax credit, then it will be at the cost of supplier itself, not at my cost. Supplier is filing the returns and paying the taxes on time. That is also something which as a taxpayer we should have a vendor management in the form. It might be a case that the supplier has filed GSTR 1 but they are not filing 3B, so tax has to be paid through GSTR 3B itself. GSTR 1 is a return only for furnishing or reporting of the invoice. Tax 3B से ही file होगा, and supplier has paid the taxes is one of the conditions for claiming the credit, friends. So as a team or as a taxpayer, we should have this vendor management very much in place, and we should rigorously follow up with our vendors so that because of their fault we are not at loss, friends. Now coming to the various notices, friends. 17, 18, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. 17, 18, 18, 19 के departmental audits भी start हो गए हैं. There have been numerous number of reversals, memos will be talk about raised by the commissionerates. So what we need to do, जो ये departmental notices आ रहे हैं for the purpose of reversal, as a taxpayer, what are the legal grounds available to me? अगर हम सिंपली बात करें, अगर छोटा अमाउंट है, if there is a small amount and client is not reluctant to go into the litigation, is something जो हम देख के पे करा सकते हैं टैक्स. इन केस वी पे दैट टैक्सेस, वी आर जस्ट बाइंग पीस ऑफ माइंड, फ्रेंड्स. मगर अगर 2A और 3B के बीच में डिफरेंस है, सो एज अ टैक्स पेयर व्हाट ग्राउंड्स डू वी हैव और व्हाट बेस्ट वी कैन डू. अगर हम बात करें सेक्शन 16 की, सेक्शन 16 के अंदर वन ऑफ द कंडीशन इज पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स बाय सप्लायर. सप्लायर ने टैक्स पे कर दिया होना, मतलब ही हैज पेड द टैक्सेस. अगर वो टैक्स नहीं पे करता, देन देयर माइट बी क्वेश्चन ऑफ आईटीसी ओवर माई, मतलब मैंने जो आईटीसी क्लेम करा है, देयर कैन बी क्वेश्चंस ओवर द सेम. सो व्हाट डज दिस सेक्शन स्टेट? सेक्शन 16 टू सबसेक्शन सी states that subject to the provisions of section 41 and 43, the tax charge in respect of supplies is actually being paid by the government to the government either in cash or through ITC. मीन्स सप्लायर ने उसका टैक्स पे कर दिया हो, चाहे वो कैश में हो चाहे वो आईटीसी में हो. कमिंग बैक, what are there in section 41 and 43A? So जब ये लॉ इनेक्ट हुआ था 1 जुलाई 2017, फ्रेंड्स, there was a matching principles. There was a full guide to it. with regard to GSTR1, GSTR2, GSTR3, there was a full guide, full documentation, and full flow which stated about matching principle. So as per section 41, as a taxpayer, I was eligible for claiming the credit provisionally on self-assessed basis. जो भी credit मेरी books के अंदर है, I was eligible for claiming that credit, and section 42 subsection 3 stated that once the matching of the ITC would be done and any discrepancies of matching means जो ITC मैंने avail कराया मेरी party ने show नहीं करा, that discrepancies will be auto populated, that will be communicated to me as well as supplier, and on the basis of those discrepancies after some time I was supposed to add that tax of ITC because of discrepancy in my output tax, and I need to make the payment for that missed amount or unmatched amount. So there was a full mechanism which was proposed to be in place through section 41, 42, 3, 43B, subordinated by various rules. When we talk about rules, Rule 69 again talks about the matching of ITC, that कौन सा ITC मैच हो गया है, और अगर मैच नहीं हुआ तो Rule 71 stated कि ITC अगर मैच नहीं हुआ है then it need to be communicated back to the supplier and receiver, means me and my supplier both, through form GSTR MIS1 and MIS2. So MIS1 or MIS2 के through it will be communicated back. Once it is communicated, on the basis of this communication only, I was supposed to reverse and I was supposed to add it in my outward tax liability and I need to make it good. But friends, जैसा हमने देखा, on perusal of the above provisions which we have understood, it can be definitely stated that there was a specific mechanism for reversing the credit in the case of discrepancy of ITC availed by a recipient. जो ITC as a recipient मैंने avail करा है उसको reverse करने की specific mechanism in place था. बट ये mechanism अगर बात करें, this mechanism has been kept in abeyance. ये पूरा mechanism abeyance में है due to the technical glitches of GSTN. GSTN की technical glitches की वजह से ये पूरा matching principles अगर हम बात करें has been kept in abeyance. So because of these matching principles kept in abeyance, as a taxpayer, क्या मुझे ITC reverse करने की requirement थी? That is something which we need to understand. अगर मैं थोड़ा सा इसका background और दें, 1 जुलाई 2017 से GST applicable था friends. जब GST applicable हुआ, there was no mechanism to check कि मेरे पार्टी ने returns में invoice upload करे हैं या नहीं करे. Because अगर वो GSTR1 फाइल करता था, GSTR2A was not visible to me from day one, that is 1st July 2017. It was visible to me only from October 2018. अक्टूबर 2018 से the government made enable GSTR2A. 2A के basis पे October 2018 से I was able to see whether my supplier has furnished those invoices or not. October 2019 में GST Council Rule 36(4) लेके आई. They included Rule 36(4) in October 2019 stating जो invoices has been uploaded by my supplier, only for those invoices I would be able to claim ITC. उसके अलावा I will not be able to claim ITC. Again, which has been substantially reduced to 10% and thereby 5% recently. Then again, department 1st January 2021 को 2B लेके आती है, which is a static report. 2A is a dynamic report, 2B is a static report as we have discussed. So there has been numerous number of changes when we talk about. As a tax recipient friends, क्या मैं आज के दिन ये चेक कर सकता हूं कि सप्लायर ने टैक्स एक्चुअली में पे कर दिया है या नहीं करा? नेवर. आई कैन ओनली चेक कि उसने 3B फाइल करी है या नहीं करी. आई कैन नेवर चेक कि उसने टैक्स उसमें पे कर दिया है या नहीं करा. आई डेफिनेटली कैन नॉट चेक. सो अगर हमने एक तो मैकेनिज्म वाला ग्राउंड देखा, इसके अलावा अगर मैं ग्राउंड्स की बात करूं, सेक्शन 16 की जो ये कंडीशन है, दिस इज इम्पॉसिबल. देयर इज अ डॉक्ट्राइन नेम्ड डॉक्ट्राइन ऑफ इम्पॉसिबिलिया which states that law cannot compel as a tax recipient for doing a impossible task. And this is, friends, one of the impossible tasks only when we talk about. 1 जुलाई 2017 के अंदर हाउ कैन आई चेक के सप्लायर ने रिपोर्ट करा है या नहीं करा, जब आपका 2A मैकेनिज्म इन प्लेस नहीं था? इवन दो रूल 36(4) बाद में आया, बट बिफोर दैट देयर वाज नो मैकेनिज्म ऑफ चेकिंग कि उसने रिपोर्ट करा है या नहीं करा. टिल नाउ वी डोंट हैव एनी मैकेनिज्म ऑफ चेकिंग कि उसने मेरे इनवॉइस पे टैक्स पे करा है नहीं करा इन 3B. सो हाउ एज अ टैक्स पेयर I can check कि my supplier is paying the taxes appropriately or not? So this condition when we talk about is impossible for me to check. The another argument which we can take is that the law is not differentiating between bona fide taxpayer and mala fide taxpayer. अगर मेरे सप्लायर की इंटेंशन थी टैक्स इवेड करने की, टैक्स की चोरी करने की, and as a tax recipient I am a, you may say, I am a tax compliant person. I pay my taxes regularly and I fulfill all my social obligations. जिसने टैक्स नहीं पे करा, जिसकी जिसकी मैलाफाइड इंटेंशन थी, उसकी वजह से एक बोनाफाइड टैक्स पेयर को टैक्स का इनपुट डिनाई कर रहे हैं. एंड लॉ इज नॉट डिफरेंशिएटिंग बिटवीन द टैक्स इवेडर्स एंड द बोनाफाइड टैक्स पेयर्स. उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मेरे ऊपर आके शिफ्ट हो जाती है, टैक्स पेयर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टैक्स रिसिपिएंट के आके शिफ्ट हो जाती है. सो दिस डेफिनेटली इज एन आर्बिट्री इन नेचर. When we talk about section 16 subsection 2 subsection C, which we have discussed, is again an arbitrary in nature because it does not differentiate between a bona fide person and a mala fide person. And this even can be supported by Article 14 of our Constitution of India, which stated this: as a principle of natural justice, bona fide taxpayer and the mala fide taxpayers need to be differentiated, whereas this condition does not differentiate between any of the taxpayers. So on the basis of these all parameters which we discussed, validity of section 16 subsection 2 subsection C has been challenged, friends. And the whole flow of this GST, when we talk about the seamless uninterrupted flow, credit flow, then the restrictions, the flow has been violated with respect to restrictions proposed with regard to availing these ITCs. Condition 16(2)C with regard to payment of taxes, reporting of these invoices, furnishing of these invoices have interrupted the seamless flow of credit. And again, the validity of this section has been challenged by various professionals, and this is pending at various courts and forums, and the decision of which would come through High Court and Supreme Court only. The Supreme Court is the ultimate authority which will, when we talk about, will settle these issues which are there in the industry as currently when we talk about. Now coming to the next topic, that is the impact of the recent amendments. The recent amendment, when we talk about what was the need of the recent amendment, friends, just to have the bird eye view of the same, as we discussed earlier, department was continuously issuing notices to the taxpayer and asking them to reverse the ITC, which was not being reflected in 2A, and department was forcing people to pay the taxes over the same. Based on these, the department, the GST Council, as a taxpayer, we have challenged these conditions because there were no statutory powers in GST law pertaining to these reversals. So because of the fake invoices which are prevalent in the industries, and because of the circular trading which we have seen because of the turnover, these issues has been discussed in length and breadth in 39th GST Council meeting. And on the basis of their discussions, what they have found out is that to plug in the statutory powers which was not there in GST statute or the GST law, the GST Council has proposed to insert a new section, section 16 to subsection AA, stated that the details of invoice or debit notes which has been furnished by through outward statement in section 37, under section 37, would need to be mandatorily made. Means जो GSTR1 की reporting under section 37 है, this again is an additional condition under section 16 जो अभी तक नहीं थी, अभी तक सिर्फ section 39 की condition थी. So through this new amendment or this amendment, what government is proposing is they want GSTR1 to be incorporated for the purpose of tax recipient to legally avail the credit that the supplier has filed his GSTR1 for tax recipient to claim the credit. So what was the need of this amendment, friends? अगर ये amendment आज आई है तो लॉ के अंदर कुछ ना कुछ तो क्यों ना था ना. What was the need that the GST Council discussed and inserted this new section? There was a reason attached to it, that rules were superseding the act. Because of this condition only, the rules will be subordinated to the acts and rule will act according to the act or the sections when we talk about, friends. So now coming to the points which we need to think upon with regard to this amendment, friends. The first thing, how does this amendment impact the past disputes? As far as our understanding is concerned, friends, this is a prospective amendment. And because of this amendment, this will definitely not impact our past disputes. We definitely have the plea with regard to all the conditions which we have discussed earlier. We can definitely play with these conditions, and the past disputes will not be settled because of this new amendment. And the past disputes need to take the forum of high courts and supreme courts only for the purpose of arriving at a particular decisions. Whether this condition again can be challenged to us, yes. Again, this condition is arbitrary in nature, and again this does not differentiate between a bona fide and a mala fide taxpayers. And again, as far as our understanding is concerned, this condition can definitely be challenged in the high courts and the court of law. What taxpayer should do? This again we have discussed, friends. As a taxpayer, we should definitely have the reconciliation statements in place, and we should rigorously follow up with our vendors. What is the fate of this section? Ignoring that fact, as a taxpayer, we should definitely have the reconciliations, follow up with our vendors, reconcile the things, and wherever necessary, we should penalize our vendors for misreporting or non-reporting of our supplies when we talk about, friends. With this, we have studied in detail with regard to our input tax credit provisions and 2A, 3B implications when we talk about. Now coming to the last part of today, that is the practical case studies. What are the practical case studies? So we will just list down the case studies. We will analyze the facts of the case, and we will analyze the legal provisions pertaining to those cases, and we will try to analyze what is the remedy available, what is the course of the action legally when we talk about. Now coming to the first question, implications of non-payment to our vendors including retention money. अगर मैं अपने वेंडर्स को पैसा नहीं देता या पैसा होल्ड करता, आई एम होल्डिंग द अमाउंट बिकॉज आई एम होल्डिंग इन द नेचर ऑफ रिटेंशन मनी. व्हाट इज द क्लॉज, what plea I have? और अगर मैं, if I fails to make the payment to my vendor within a period of 180 days, what remedy do I have? अगर हम सेक्शन 16 देखें, सेक्शन 16 बोलता है as a taxpayer, tax recipient, in case I fail to make the payment, fails to make the payment within a period of 180 days from the date of invoice of the supplier, then I need to reverse the ITC along with the interest thereupon. The important condition here is failure to pay. I need to reverse the credit only in case I fails to make the payment. Just to take this discussion forward, suppose I take an example. Example is such that I have asked a vendor of mine to install a plant and machinery at my premises. मैंने वेंडर को बोला आप प्लांट एंड मशीनरी मेरे प्रेमिसेस में इंस्टॉल कर दीजिए, मेरी फैक्ट्री में इंस्टॉल कर दीजिए. Vendor have installed that, and our payment terms was such that I will pay him 25% at the time of delivery, 25% within a period of 6 months, 25% within a period of 1 year, and 25% more within a period of 15 months. So I am paying him 50% within a period of 180 days. So I am not paying him 50% within a period of 180 days. क्या इस 150 जो 50% मैंने पे नहीं करा उसके ऊपर मुझे रिवर्सल रिक्वायर्ड है? It can be simply argued yes, but अगर हम बात करें what law state is that in case I fails to make the payment within a period of 180 days. What do we actually mean by a failure, friends? Failure means that I was under an obligation to make the payment. Whereas in the current case, which we have discussed, there was no obligation over me. I was under no obligation to make the payment to my supplier. I needed to make only 50% payment. Rest payment I was supposed to make after 180 days only. There has been numerous number of judgments in Indian law, in foreign law, European courts, Australian courts, Canadian courts, UK courts. What do we actually mean by failure? Failure कब होता है? जब मेरे ऊपर कोई obligations है. Means I am not doing something that one is expected to do. When I was not expected to do, how can we say that I have failed? जब मेरे ऊपर कोई obligation होगी, when there is an omission at my part, then only will be a failure. So this has been held in Malaysian Airlines also versus Union of India, where it categorically stated the meaning of failure to pay. Failure to pay has to be read in a dictionary meaning, through a dictionary meaning. And so in this case, when there was no obligation to me, as far as our understanding is concerned, there was no requirement for reversing the credit. But again, friends, this is again a very aggressive call when we talk about this. Again, has to be tested in the court of law, and ultimately, High Court will be the authority which will subjudice upon the stand of the failure to pay when we talk about. So this, when we talk about this, can be an additional plea, but as a taxpayer, we should definitely instruct our clients to make the payment within a period of 180 days when we talk about. Now coming to the retention money, friends. What do we actually mean by retention money? Retention money is a money which I am holding for my client because of performance guarantee. जो उसने मेरे यहाँ मशीनरी लगाई है, अगर मैं उसके अगेंस्ट 10% रिटेंशन रखता हूँ, वो मैंने इसलिए रखी है. The reason I have kept that retention money is because of the fact that the machinery performs well within the specified period for which he has given me the guarantee. उस पीरियड तक it works efficiently. Agar if this is the case, whether this can be said that the retention money which I am holding is to be treated as I have not made the payment within period of 180 days and I was supposed to reverse the credit over the 10% amount, is something which we need to understand. Hindustan Zinc Limited under service tax laws categorically stated that retention money is not merely I am holding the money, I am not paying the money. It can definitely be said that I have made payment to my supplier in full and I have taken this money back from him in the form of retention money. That is something which has been subjudiced in Hindustan Zinc, have been ordered by Hindustan Zinc under Supreme service tax laws. So as a taxpayer, what best we can do is that instead of parking this amount under sundry creditors, we can pass a general entry transferring this amount from sundry creditors to the retention money account, thereby enabling that I have made 100% payment to my supplier with regard to the goods which I am procured, and I have transferred this 10% amount to the retention money only for the purpose of meeting out the performance guarantees or for the purpose of meeting out the contract terms. So we can definitely tell that, and there would be no requirement for reversing the credit, friends. Coming to the second case loss. What is the fate of input tax credit on CSR activities? So as we discussed earlier, section 16 stated used or intended to be used for the business. Whether CSR activities can be said that these activities are done or are used in intended to be used for the business. Just to elaborate. Just to elaborate, section 135 of Companies Act states that this is the compulsory condition that every company with certain conditions, in case they meet out those conditions, then they need to spend 2% of their average net profit for last 3 years towards satisfying their corporate social responsibility. So agar as a taxpayer, I am procuring oxygen concentrators and distributing it as a corporate social responsibility, whether I would be eligible for ITC. The question to be analyzed is with regard to two parts, whether I am meeting the eligibility conditions under section 16 and this is not blocked under section 17 subsection 5. अगर हम section 16 की conditions की बात करें, it states used or intended to be used. So we have discussed this earlier also, that the CSR activities definitely can be said that these activities were intended to be used for business only, because these are in the nature of mandatory kind of obligations. And when we talk about section 17 subsection 5, it talks about gifts. What do we actually mean by gifts? Gift means giving something voluntary in nature. I am giving it on a voluntary basis. Whereas in a case of CSR activities, I am not giving these goods on voluntary basis. This I am giving because of the legal compulsion. Legal compulsion as specified under section 135 of the Companies Act. So because of these legal obligations, definitely the oxygen concentrators which I am giving as a part of my CSR activities to various NGOs will definitely not be classified as an act of voluntary nature. So as per section 17.5 also, the block credits would not be applicable, and as a taxpayer I can claim the credit with regard to the ITC which I have paid over these oxygen concentrator. Same was the plea, or same was the contentions taken by the advanced ruling authorities of UP in the case of Dwarkadhish Sugar Industries Limited, whereby they have allowed ITCs over the goods distributed as a part of CSR activities. Contrary to the decisions which advanced ruling authorities have taken, this is a welcome move which they have given, which UP advanced ruling authorities has given from the point of view of the CSR activities, goods used in the CSR activities. Coming back to the third question, applicability of credit of tax paid under RCM after filing of September returns. The facts are such: suppose 1920, there was an RCM invoice over which the taxpayer has not paid the invoices till date, or not paid the RCM till date. Today they realized and they are making the RCM payment. इनवॉइस मेरा 19-20 का था, 19-20 के अंदर मैंने बुक्स के अंदर रिकॉर्ड भी कर दिया, बट मैंने आज तक टिल टुडे आई हैव नॉट मेड द RCM पेमेंट. So once I make the RCM payment today, whether I would be eligible for credit of this RCM payment today, as we discussed earlier, section 16 proviso, it clearly specified that till September or annual return, whichever is earlier, I can claim the credit before that. Just to analyze this situation, as per section 36, friends, we have discussed there are 5 documents for availing the credit. The first document was invoice. Second document was invoice as per section 31(3)(f). अगर हम बात करें, जो सेकेंड डॉक्यूमेंट है वो कब इशू होता है? सेल्फ इनवॉइस डॉक्यूमेंट कब इशू होता है आरसीएम का? व्हाट डज दिस सेक्शन 31(3)(f स्टेट्स? A registered person liable under section 9394 shall issue an invoice. I will issue an invoice in respect of goods or services received under section 93 and 94 from unregistered supplier on the date of receipt of goods or services. Thereby meaning, अगर टैक्स पेयर को अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन से आरसीएम सप्लाई मिलती है, in that case, as per section 31, I need to raise a self invoice. In case I am receiving goods and services from a registered person, then there is no requirement of issuing a self invoice. In that case, the supplier invoice itself will be treated as an invoice for the purpose of claiming the ITC once I make the RCM payment, friends. Section 31 के अंदर I am raising only, I am repeating it again, जब मुझे अनरजिस्टर्ड सप्लाईज मिलती है. अगर एडवोकेट रजिस्टर्ड है, सो हिज इनवॉइस विल बी ट्रीटेड एज एन इनवॉइस फॉर क्लेमिंग आईटीसी. अगर वो अनरजिस्टर्ड है, इन दैट केस आई नीड टू रेज सेल्फ इनवॉइस अंडर सेक्शन 31. So once I issue that invoice, in that case, the applicability under section 16 subsection 4 will apply from the date whence I raise that invoice. तो जिस दिन मैंने वो इनवॉइस रेज करा है, मींस आज अगर मैंने वो इनवॉइस रेज करा है, in that case I can have a plea that I can take the ITC pertaining to this invoice till September 2022, and I can claim in my 3B when we talk about. Now coming back to question number 4, that is ITC on construction of immovable property. The fact of the case is that, suppose we take an example, as a chartered accountant, I have given an order, or I have placed a PO to my contractor for construction of a CA office, chartered accountant office. So what are the activities involved in it? There may be civil work, brickwork भी होगा, flooring भी होगी. There may be plant and machinery work in the name of air conditioning, लैपटॉप्स. मैंने उसको एयर कंडीशन इन्वॉल्व का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिया, उसके अंदर एयर कंडीशंस भी थे सेंट्रलाइज्ड, इक्विपमेंट्स, डिजाइनिंग सर्विसेज, डीजी सेट्स, इन्वर्टर्स, बैटरीज, फायर फाइटिंग इक्विपमेंट्स, फर्नीचर्स, इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट्स. देयर कैन बी न्यूमरस नंबर ऑफ सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट विद रिगार्ड टू कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ अ सीए ऑफिस. अगर मैं सेक्शन 17 सब सेक्शन 5C की बात करूं, व्हाट डज इट स्टेट्स? Work contract services when supplied for construction of immovable property. अगर मैंने वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सर्विसेज किसी को दी हैं विद रिगार्ड टू इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, देन इट इज डिबार्ड अंडर सेक्शन 17(5). 17(5)D की बात करते हैं. अगर मुझे कोई गुड्स या सर्विसेज रिसीव होती है फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ एन इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी ऑन माय ओन अकाउंट, मींस मेरे अपने अकाउंट पे, मींस मेरे अपने ऑफिस के लिए, देन अगेन इट विल बी डिबार्ड. मतलब मैं गुड्स प्रोक्योर कर लूं या सर्विस प्रोक्योर कर लूं या मैं किसी को ठेका दे दूं पूरा, in that case I am not eligible for claiming the credit with regard to immovable property only on my own account. अगर मैं किसी और के लिए कर रहा हूं then I am fully eligible for credit. अब जो हमने केस देखा, अगर मैं अपने कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को, if I give a single contract to my contractor, thereby having all these things, furniture, civil work, air conditioning, DG sets, firefighting equipments, then electrical wiring. अगर मैं एक ही, if I in a single contract I give all the bunch of activities, then whether I am eligible for claiming the credit? Simply stating no, because of the fact that we are debarred for claiming credit with regard to civil work, and because of the differentiating factors of different segments, as a tax recipient it will be difficult for me to claim the credit. So in such a case, it is advisable from our point of view that we should break down the segments or the areas of PO, and we should classify the POs, or we should make POs in such a manner that our credit is not jeopardized. We are eligible for full credit over which there is no restrictions under section 17. So as a whole, or what we want to clarify here is that as a tax professional, we should advise our clients to break down their POs in such a manner that we can enjoy the maximum ITC which is available to us. So coming back to the judgments with regard to this, Safari Retreat, which stated that even though I am renting out my premises, I can claim the ITC with regard to construction services. So under this judgment it was allowed, but there has been a SLP filed and it's pending with Supreme Court, and in our view also the ITC with regard to construction on subsequent let down property is not eligible. So this is again subject to challenge and subject to review by a Supreme Court. Again, this was a case of Tarun Realtors wherein the ITC was not available, which has been correctly laid down. Coming to the gist, अगर हम बात करें पूरी कंस्ट्रक्शन सर्विसेज की, अगर कोई सैनिटरी फिटिंग्स है then the ITC is not allowed. अगर कोई एयर कंडीशनिंग सर्विसेज है then the ITC is allowed, it will be covered under plant and machinery. Same thing is the case with overhead cranes, sewerage systems and other electrical work. अगर कोई लाइटिंग सिस्टम है जो इनबिल्ट है, उसका ITC हमें नहीं मिलेगा. Coming back to a case study with regard to the real estate, with regard to reversal of credit due to issuance of the completion certificates. The facts of the case are such that I am a real estate developer, suppose, and as a real estate developer, suppose 1st April 2016, suppose I started construction of a real estate project. Once I started the construction of a real estate project, 4 years, 5 years down the line, I have completed the project. So facts are such that 1st April 2016 I started, and today, suppose 20th May 2021, I have completed my project, and I have been issued a completion certificate that my project is completed and ready, and you can give the possession there. Now the facts are such. What does GST law states? GST law states that any flat sold or booked before obtaining the completion certificate, it will be deemed to be a supply, and I need to make payment towards GST. अगर कोई इन बुक फ्लैट्स को मैं कंप्लीशन सर्टिफिकेट के बाद बुक करता हूं, इन केस आई बुक अ फ्लैट आफ्टर हैविंग द कंप्लीशन सर्टिफिकेट, then it will be an exempt supply as defined in schedule 3. The facts are such. कंप्लीशन से पहले बेचूंगा तो जीएसटी लगेगा, कंप्लीशन के बाद बेचूंगा तो जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा. अब जैसे ही मुझे कंप्लीशन सर्टिफिकेट मिलता है, then as per section 617 read with rule 42 and 43, I need to reverse the credit. रिवर्स क्यों करना है? क्योंकि जो भी एरिया मेरा अनसोल्ड रह गया, जो भी फ्लैट्स मेरे अनसोल्ड रह गए, उसमें मैंने आईटीसी ले लिया होगा, जो आईटीसी लिया होगा उसको मुझे रिवर्स करना है. सो फैक्ट्स आर सच कि मुझे कितना अमाउंट रिवर्स करना है इज समथिंग विच वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अगर हम बात करें इस केस में 2016 से 2021 तक, I would have availed credit under service tax regime also. Second thing, I would have claimed credit through my transitional forms also. 1st July 2017 को जब transition हुआ होगा, then also I would have claimed ITC. Third thing, I would have claimed ITC under GST law also. So 3 parameters are there: GST law का credit, transition law का credit, and service tax law का credit. किस किस law पे कितना कितना reverse करना है? Coming back to the first case, reversal of ITC under GST law. What does this? What we have to do? So under real estate, we have to do reversal on project wise basis. अगर एक कंपनी में 2 प्रोजेक्ट्स थे बिफोर रेरा, तो आई नीड टू डू रिवर्सल प्रोजेक्ट वाइज. और प्रोजेक्ट वाइज में कितना कितना रिवर्सल करना है? आई नीड टू डू रिवर्सल ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द कारपेट एरिया. अगर 100 फ्लैट्स थे, 60 फ्लैट्स बेच दिए, पहले बुक हो गए थे, 40 फ्लैट्स बुक नहीं हुए थे, then what I need to do is that I need to do reversals over those 40 flats only, not 40 by 100. It might be possible कि 60 फ्लैट्स जो मैंने बेच दिए थे उसका एरिया ज्यादा था और 40 फ्लैट्स जो नहीं बिके उसका एरिया कम था. 2700 स्क्वायर फीट, 2700 स्क्वायर फीट एरिया was the size over which was booked in those 60 flats, and 2000 is the flat size for these 40 flats. So I need to reverse the credit on the basis of carpet area of the unsold area. So reversal of the credit which I have availed in GST has to be reversed as per provisions of section 42, rule 42, and I need to reverse on the basis of carpet area, friends. Now coming back to the second point, that is reversal of the credit which I have availed under service tax, friends. What is the legal conclusions over the same? So there has been numerous number of judgments. The Alembic was the judgment, Shreno Limited was the judgment, Prajapati Developers was the judgment, in which the ITC reversals with regard to amount which we have availed under service tax was questioned. So what court has categorically stated is that once ITC has been legally and validly availed, the same cannot be denied or cannot be recovered until and unless there are specific provisions in the act itself. At the date of input, my output tax was taxable. Agar in case the output tax later on becomes exempt, it does not question my ITC until and unless there was specific provisions in the act itself for the reversal of the credit. Because of the service tax not capturing those provisions for reversals, the Alembic, Shreno and Prajapati Developers have allowed the credit once they have achieved, once they have been issued the completion certificates, even though they have some areas of their flats unsold. So relying upon these judgments, we can definitely have a plea that the reversals for the credit availed under service tax and traditional ITCs need not be done. Just to illustrate, suppose there is a cost of construction of 100 rupees. Service tax credit, I have segment credit, I have taken off 10 rupees. ITC GST, I have availed 3 rupees. date of OC was 31st March 2019. So 33% was the unsold area which was there as on the date of completion. So reversal, Senvet under service tax need not do any reversal. 3 rupees which I have availed under GST, I need to reverse 33% over the same, that is 1 rupees. So no need to reverse the credit with regard to service tax, the credit which I have availed under service tax laws. Coming to the next case laws, the next illustration. Next illustration is such, what is the need, what I have to do with regard to reversal of credit in case of impairment of asset due to COVID. Because of this COVID, there has been business interruptions, बिजनेस सफर कर रहा है कंटिन्यूटी, और उसकी वजह से अगर कोई ऑडिटर मेरा अगर इम्पेयरमेंट लॉस बुक करता है, देन वेदर आई नीड टू रिवर्स द क्रेडिट और नॉट इज समथिंग विच आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अगर मैं इम्पेयरमेंट की बात करूं, व्हाट डज वी मीन बाय इम्पेयरमेंट? इम्पेयरमेंट मीन्स the value of these assets need to be checked by an auditor as in total as a cash generating unit or intangible assets, और अगर in case the realizable value is less than the carrying value of that asset, अगर उसकी बुक्स के अंदर वैल्यू ज्यादा है from the recoverable value or value in use, then the auditor can ask for impairment testing, and once this impairment testing is carried out, then as an as a company I need to reverse the amount with regard to the carrying value. मुझे अपनी I need to reduce my carrying value with in lines with the recoverable value or value in use. So अगर हम बात करें, because of this impairment loss which the company has booked in their books, because of this impairment loss, whether I need to reverse the credit under section 17(5), we need to analyze this. So अगर मैं शेड्यूल 1 की बात करूं, शेड्यूल 1 क्या बोलता है? परमानेंट डिस्पोजल और ट्रांसफर ऑफ बिजनेस असेट्स वेयर आईटीसी हैज बीन अवेल्ड. अगर मैंने उन कैपिटल गुड्स पे आईटीसी लिया है, तो क्या शेड्यूल 1 के अंदर सप्लाई विदाउट कंसिडरेशन की ट्रांजैक्शन फॉल हो गई है? नो, because this is not in the nature of permanency. This is not a permanent transfer or not disposable of assets. Assets are there in my factory location itself. It is just that I have booked an impairment loss because of the reason that my continuing business have suffered, and because of this COVID, the recoverable value of these assets are lower than the book value. Because of that, it cannot be treated that I have permanently disposed of these assets. Coming back to section 17, subsection 5, subsection H, it states that in case goods are lost, stolen or destroyed, or written off or disposed of, in that case, I was not eligible for ITC. Whereas in this case, the goods are neither lost, nor stolen, nor destroyed. Goods are there intact in my factory itself. It is just that I have reduced my carrying value, and hence section 17 subsection 5 subsection H won't be applicable. So we have analyzed from both point of view, that is schedule 1 as well as section 17 subsection 5. There is no requirement for reversal. Coming to the last topic for today, last illustration, a very important illustration, friends, with regard to ISD and cross charge. What do we actually mean by ISD? What do we actually mean by cross charge? Just to take an example, what do we mean by ISD, friends? ISD किस किस एक्टिविटीज पे एप्लीकेबल होगा और किस किस एक्टिविटीज पे क्रॉस चार्ज एप्लीकेबल होगा. अगर हम बात करें ISD की, what is the definition of ISD? As per section 2 subsection 61, it states that ISD is an office of supplier of goods or services or both. I can be supplier of anything. I receive tax invoice from receipt of these services or goods, and I distributes the credit paid on these services to the other offices within the same pan to my other offices. And I, as an ISD, issue tax invoice or any other documents for the purpose of availing the credit, for the purpose of distribution of the credit. Just to illustrate, suppose I am there in Delhi and I have office all across India, 20 registration I am having. In Delhi, I am having an ISD registration. As an ISD registration, how can I distribute my credit to the other location? What law states is that as a central credit, I can distribute it to my offices in the form of C सेंट्रल और इंटीग्रेटेड टैक्स। अगर मेरा आई का क्रेडिट है, सो आई कैन डिस्ट्रीब्यूट इट एज आई, सी और एस। अगर मेरा एस का क्रेडिट है, स्टेट का क्रेडिट है, आई कैन डिस्ट्रीब्यूट इट एज स्टेट और इंटीग्रेटेड टैक्स. What is the manner or what is the condition of distributing these credits, just to analyze over the same. मेरे 20 रजिस्ट्रेशन थे. दिल्ली के अंदर एक कंसल्टेंट है. मैंने दिल्ली कंसल्टेंट को बोला कि बेंगलोर की एक स्क्रूटनी है, प्लीज हैंडल दैट स्क्रूटनी. द दिल्ली कंसल्टेंट हैज हैंडल्ड दैट स्क्रूटनी एंड दे इशूड एन इनवॉइस to my ISD number in Delhi. What ISD number need to do? Because service was fully attributable to the state of Bangalore or Karnataka, ISD in Delhi need to distribute the credit over this invoice to the state of Karnataka itself, not to all the states, to only the state of Karnataka. Second case, suppose the company has received the GST audit invoice from the auditor in the name of ISD. What they need to do? As this invoice has been used for all the states or the registration under the same PAN, then the ISD need to distribute this amount or credit to all the 20 states on the basis of the turnover. Suppose an invoice was issued by an ISD for only 2 registrations. In that case, they need to pro rata distribute this credit to these 2 registrations only on the basis of turnover, friends. Now coming to what is the difference between ISD and cross charge. When we talk about the difference between ISD and cross charge, we need to understand we can use ISD only in case the services are not consumed within that state. In case it is being consumed by all the states. In case it is consumed within that state itself, in that case, it has to be routed through cross-charge services. For example, friends, suppose I am registered in Delhi. In Delhi, I am having my regular GSTN and also I am having my ISD number. अगर मैंने कोई advertisement services का invoice, अगर I have done some advertisement, an advertisement agency has raised invoice to my ISD number, we can definitely say that these advertisement services are being consumed all across India. All my registrations, the benefit of these advertisement services will be taken by all the registrations. Supposingly, there was a office location in Delhi which was used by Delhi GSTN. Now we can say that this rental of this office space in Delhi was used and consumed by all the states. Definitely no. So there is a distinction which we need to mark out with regard to all the transactions, what we need to route through ISD and what we need to route through cross charge. Anything which is consumed within that state cannot be routed through ISD. Anything which is consumed by other states can be routed through ISD. Just to take this discussion a little forward, suppose in Delhi, I was having my trade name. I am having 20 companies in same brand name. SBI. SBI has having SBI Life, SBI Life Insurance, SBI Mutual Funds, SBI Bank. So there are numerous number of companies in the name of SBI, and they all are having their office HO in one particular area, that is Bombay. So all 20 companies is having their registered office in the name of in Bombay. The Bombay builder or the owner of the Bombay building charges rental to only main company, holding company, that is the SBI Bank. अब जो SBI बैंक को इनवॉइस जा रहा है, that place is being used by all the locations or all the 20 companies. In that case, whether as a taxpayer I need to make an invoice to all my 20 companies for the purpose of using my facility. Second thing, trade name. SBI brand name is being used by all 20 companies. Whether I need to raise an invoice to all the 20 companies because the brand name is used by all the 20 companies trade name? Definitely yes. अगर हम बात करें शेड्यूल 1 की सप्लाई विदाउट कंसिडरेशन, अगर कोई रिलेटेड पार्टी के बीच में ट्रांजैक्शन है, अगर उसकी कंसिडरेशन भी नहीं है, in that case also This is a transaction subject to tax, as this is is treated as a supply under GST. Friends, we need to see provisions under section 15 also with valuation rules कि मुझे किस वैल्यू पे ट्रांजैक्शन को रूट करना है. अगर मैं बात करूं क्रॉस चार्ज की, दिल्ली के अंदर अगर मैंने बिजनेस सपोर्ट सर्विसेज, मार्केटिंग सर्विसेज, मेरे CFO CEO दिल्ली के अंदर हैं, and all the services I am marketing policies, strategies I am making from Delhi with regard to all the business locations, then I can definitely say that I am providing business support services to all the locations, friends. And as per section 25 section 4, this is a classic case of a distinct person where I need to charge as per schedule 1, even though without consideration I need to charge with regard to business support services in the form of cross charge to all the other business location. So what we have understood is three different parameters. One is ISD, second is cross charge between distinct person, that is within same PAN location. Third is supply with regard to the related parties wherein the PAN number was different, but it was again subject to charge because of the basis that the location or the premises was enjoyed by all other parties. Trademark being enjoyed by 20 companies. Corporate guarantees, friends. अगर कोई holding company, in case holding companies issue a corporate guarantee to the bank for the purpose of benefiting the subsidiary company to avail the loan from the bank, then again this is a classic case of a related party transaction wherein without consideration also it will be treated as a supply. Now coming to an interesting fact, the new scenario wherein the branches are issuing cross charges billed to the main plant. For example, I take a case, I am having a plant in Maharashtra, a manufacturing plant in Maharashtra, and I am having my distributing offices in Chennai, Delhi and Calcutta. जो भी चेन्नई, दिल्ली एंड कलकत्ता के अंदर एक्टिविटीज रन आउट होती हैं, दे टेक द ऑर्डर एंड दे गिव दैट ऑर्डर टू द महाराष्ट्र प्लांट. Maharashtra plant directly ships those orders to the clients or to their clients directly without involving these offices. So this can be a classic case where we can say that the branch or the representative office are providing marketing services to the Maharashtra plant. And in turn, it has to be a case where these respective offices are providing cross charge or business support services, marketing invoices to the Maharashtra plant in the form of cross charge. So with regard to all these cross charge issue, we should have definitely have the agreements in place. We should have time of supply in place with regard to when to raise the invoices, how Maharashtra plant can take the ITC. In case Maharashtra plant was not able to take the ITC, whether provisor to rule do the valuation rules will apply or not is something which we need to understand upon. So this is whole as of today when we talk about, friends. Now we can take up any questions, and over to Tanya in case she want to add up some more.
So hope everyone liked the session. I could see in the chat box that people that professionals had really appreciated the way you have deliberated today's session. And yes, it's time for the most awaited. It's the most awaited time. You can ask all your queries, and don't worry about the presentation and the recording. Both the presentation and recording of the today's webinar will be made available to you on your registered mail IDs. Hope you have all enjoyed. There is the link for the feedback. Please do provide us with your feedback and suggestion so that we can bring much more. As I can see, Rajuji saying excellent deliberation, sir. So please do keep providing with your feedback and suggestions so that we can bring more more such wonderful sessions, insightful sessions for you all on various topics. And good session, very knowledgeable session. And yes, thanks a lot for the wonderful. Thank you. Please send PPT. Ashokji, we surely will share the PPT. Don't worry about it. This is the time when you can ask the questions. If there are any. And please keep using OptoTax and make your compliance life simple. Great seminar. Thank you, Lakshmanji, because it is curated by you and for you only. The OptoTax is a compliance tool which is prepared for your making your compliance, considering your compliance life being easy. And thank you for the session. Awesome deliberation. Excellent presentation. And I guess this is what we earn when we try to give the maximum output, when we try to give the max which we can. So thank you for giving us the time. Session was based on real and practical situations, and I'm sure the audience was kept connected. All this was because of Pritamji. Nothing would have been there if he wouldn't have given us the time. Manmohanji, could you please write up your question once again? Because as people are writing about their giving their feedback, it just moves down, so we can take up your query. Thank you, everyone. It feels so good to see a chat box filled with so much.
Chetanji, your question is if invoice shown in 2B but not in it is shown in 2A but not in 2B of the same month, neither in subsequent months, whether to claim the ITC. Definitely you can claim the ITC. There are various reasons why invoice is not shown in 2A, not in 2B, whereas it has been shown in 2A. So we can give you the list of those illustrations. We also have that in place, but it is being shown in 2B. Definitely you can take the ITC. It might be possible that for the month of suppose say 18-19 they have filed the returns today, so that is the reason it must be shown in 2B of that particular month, but 2B it is being shown in current month. So there are numerous number of reasons, but in case it is being shown in 2B, then definitely you can take the credit.
Manmohanji's question is there whether 2A or 2B or RB, which one to be considered for ITC? Actually, he was asking since long.
So as I deliberated whether 2A or 2B, so there is a question whether we should take credit from 2A or 2B. As I told you, there is a commercial answer and there is a legal answer attached to it. When we talk commercially, in case the credit and the company, the cash flows are good, then you can definitely take the credit on the basis of 2B. 2B is a static report wherein the credits are kept frozen. 2A is a dynamic report which allows you to take the credit early. Early credit is eligible. So when we talk legally, section 36, rule 36.4 does not talk anything about 2A or 2B. In fact, circular says about 2B, 2A. So you can definitely take credit from on the basis of 2A, but this will be definitely subject to litigation or disputes from department.
Yes, Sri Ramji, you will surely get the certificate of participation because you have devoted your time in this crucial pandemic. So we surely will give you the certificate of participation. Just allow us a day, and by tomorrow or day after, you surely will get. And thank you everyone for your lovely feedback and suggestions. And keep using OptoTax. Stay connected because we are bringing many more insightful sessions for you in upcoming days. So stay tuned. Keep watching the space. And I guess with this, we should end for today's session, Pitamji. Yeah.
In case anyone wants to ask any of the queries, they can send it across to my mail ID or send it across to my number, WhatsApp me up. I would be, it will be my privilege to answer those queries for sure. When we talk about.
Sure.
I
So
can
if
write
there,
down my email IDs and telephone number in case.
yeah, sure, sir. So please do save Pritamji's number and mail ID for future references. You can always contact him, and he would spare his time to give to provide you with the required answers. So, with on a good note, please take good care of yourself. things are still not perfect, so it will take some time to get back to pre-pandemic days. So stay safe, stay happy, and keep learning. With a good note, see you probably day after tomorrow on 22nd with another deliberation on Finance Act with income tax. So yeah, have a wonderful evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.